Today on CityLine, sharing meals during the holiday season, community efforts to feed neighbors, tips for your Thanksgiving feast, and some sweet treats. Good morning to you. I'm Jessica Brown. When it comes to hunger here in Massachusetts, research shows that the need is great and growing. According to the latest statewide food access report, about 2 million Massachusetts adults faced food insecurity in 2024. To put that in perspective, that's 1 in 3 residents. This time of year, we see communities rise to the occasion, from turkey drives to food distribution events. There are many organizations making sure everyone has food to put on the table for Thanksgiving, but the work really is ongoing throughout the year, as we'll hear from our first guest today. Joining me now is Aliza Wasserman, Director of the Mayor's Office of Food Justice in Boston. Thank you so much for joining us.
Good morning, Jessica. Thank you so much for having me.
Yeah, important topic, especially right now. We talk about food insecurity a lot this time of year, right? But fighting hunger is really a year-round job. Talk to us a little bit about Boston's Office of Food Justice. What's the main mission of this office?
Yes, absolutely. Our mission is to build a food system for Boston that is more fair, equitable, sustainable, and resilient. To meet this particular moment right now, we are focusing most of our efforts on increasing equitable access to affordable food, particularly food that is culturally relevant and nutritious.
Which is important when you mention culturally relevant too, because you're trying to meet the needs of so many different people.
Absolutely. Any programs that we can support, whether there are programs, community-led efforts, or state or federal programs that allow people to make those choices of what food is best for their households and families, are giving people autonomy and dignity to exactly get that culturally relevant food.
Absolutely. The Greater Boston Collaborative Food Access Hub just marked 1 year of serving people in Roxbury. In that time, the hub on Northampton Street served an average of 20,000 people every month. A key feature of the facility is its cold storage capacity. Talk to us about why this is so important.
Yes, absolutely. We, the City of Boston, worked closely and invested in creating this hub with some matching funding from Mass General Brigham to really address 2 different problems. One, the high rates of food insecurity that we are seeing in our communities that have been increasing from the pandemic and continuing to increase, as well as knowing the significance of food that doesn't necessarily go to people who could eat it and sometimes goes to waste. So this massive cold storage facility, as you mentioned, in Roxbury, it has, over the past year, done a few things. One is that when there's perfectly good food that could sometimes not be sold or go to waste, there are a number of organizations that have worked together in new ways through this facility to recover, store, and distribute food to food insecure residents in 18 neighborhoods across Boston, to the tune of about 164,000 pounds of what we call recovered food. When combined with other food moving through the hub from the Greater Boston Food Bank for purchase from local farmers, that has served over the equivalent of over 1.5 million meals over the course of the year.
Wow. I know one of the priorities of the Office of Food Justice is equitable food access, right? Black, Hispanic, LGBTQ households have higher rates of experiencing food insecurity here in Boston. How are you working to address these disparities?
Yeah, everything that we do as our office, as well as other city departments like Boston Public Schools, which serves 50,000 meals at no cost to students every single day, we are working to ensure that that food is culturally relevant, and that we are targeting our resources to those communities that have the highest rates of food insecurity, as well as we know that 50% of the SNAP households in Boston are concentrated in 6 zip codes in Roxbury, Dorchester, Mattapan, and Hyde Park. And we think about also the stores in those communities that have that have also over 50% of the SNAP spending is concentrated in those 6 zip codes, really trying to understand what those communities and the people who live in those neighborhoods need. So one program we support is the Double Up Food Bucks program, which for anyone who has SNAP benefits, they can receive 50% off fresh fruits and vegetables purchased with SNAP benefits at any of 6 stores in East Boston, Roxbury, and Dorchester.
You know, you mentioned SNAP benefits because I think it's important, especially what we just saw, right, with the government shutdown. We know it didn't, it impacted many for a time. Things are getting back up and running. How has that, in terms of planning and process, all of that affected what you all do?
It's affected it a lot, Jessica. We're still figuring out how we pivot. We did pivot to ensure that we could meet the emergency needs that were coming up prior to the beginning of November. So about 3 weeks ago, Mayor Wu, together with the Boston Foundation, announced a fund that as of now has raised over $3 million to support, in the wake of this sudden crisis, residents who may have been struggling to afford groceries, as well as supporting the food access organizations and the emergency food system experiencing a major surge in need faced by communities over the last several weeks. We know that without these federal nutrition benefits, the emergency food system, as much as we support it, cannot absorb all of these needs of our communities without the federal nutrition benefits that are so crucial to supporting household food budgets.
Yeah. It's important here. And Aliza Wasserman, we really appreciate you being here, Director of the Mayor's Office of Food Justice in Boston. We appreciate your insight on all of this and for being here to share about the work that's being done and to address this need, especially during this season. We appreciate it.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Well, coming up, bringing Southern flavors to the South End. The Boston business that's offering turkey with a twist this Thanksgiving, plus tips for anyone planning to bring a bird at home.